Say hey everyone, welcome into another edition of Say Hey Plays. My name is Jose Bouquett. Nice to see everyone as always here on another edition of Say Hey Plays. It is April 4th. There we go. We're start saying the dates now, and we're coming off of a successful evening last night. Again, shout out to our guy Spin Doc who joined us. I hope you guys went and watched his appearance with Sharpie today on The Walking Dead. Shout out to Sharpie as always, and shout out to Big Show who produces it. But we had a good day yesterday. I'll give you guys the recap real quick before we get into today's action. We had Cleveland team total over 4.5. That was an easy casher. We had Arizona first five money line. Unfortunate there. Tampa Bay first five -0.5. Drew Rasmussen, welcome back. And then we had our triple up on the Royals. Thankfully, that came through for us. Mentally broke Jose Barrios. We all remember that. First five money line, first five team total over 1.5, and team total over 3.5 there. All cash very easily. I lost Cardinals first five money line, pushed on Cardinals team total over 4, and cashed half of my Baltimore double up, I should say. Baltimore money line, cash, and Baltimore team total over 3.5 did not come through with me. But it was an overall good day. Now the record now sits at 14-16, only down 2.7 units. So starting to find our stride, starting to find our groove, and I'm excited about the season, excited about the day. Now, let's bring in our next guest, our Tuesday guest. It'll be a whole lot of fun talking to him throughout the entire season, and I cannot wait. The host of NCAA Net Profit, who just came off of a beautifully profitable college basketball season. It's our guy, Ian Cameron, a.k.a. Bobano. Bobano, how are you doing?
Yeah, thank you, Jose. Yeah, I mean, great college basketball season. I wouldn't say we're off to a beautifully profitable season yet in baseball, but we're off to a good start. 4.6 units of profit early on. A lot more player props has been the big, I guess, difference in my baseball handicapping this year compared to past seasons. We're really diving in more on strikeout props, total bases, home run props here and there. I know the popular FanDuel promotion, Dinger Tuesday, has become a big deal among MLB bettors. And home run props I like sprinkling on them from time to time as well. So I've included that in my baseball repertoire this year. Of course, I'm still betting lots of first 5 innings, full game sides and totals, team totals, but we're incorporating a lot more player props. And so far the results have been good. So hopefully we've got a few player props today that we can profit from as well.
Beautiful. I love that. I love to hear that from you, Bobano, because I'm not a big player prop guy yet. And I'm excited to hear all your props there. The volume continues to grow from Bobano. Bobano, random question. For these games, do you take notes? Do you take physical notes? Do you write down your notes? Because I have had to switch because I've just been infuriated with electronic notes. So now I'm an old man and I write my notes down on a notebook paper.
Old school.
Yeah, I bought a new notebook last night. And I've started to say, fuck it, I'm taking care of this. I'm just going to write my notes down like this. Bobano, how do you prepare?
Well, I've forgotten how to write legibly or print legibly on paper. I mean,
Fair.
it's just a skill that I no longer have. So, unfortunately, that's pretty frustrating because I feel like if I don't type it, no one's going to be able to read it. So, that's the issue with that. But no, I like it. I mean, in terms of me taking notes, I don't do that a lot. I make mental notes and I try to I'll try to incorporate that moving forward. But just in terms of writing down observations, it's actually probably a good thing to do. But usually what I'll do is I'll watch a game and I'm certainly observing things and making mental notes. But you're right. I think I could write some things down because sometimes it's not easy to remember everything you've seen, especially when you're talking about pitchers who don't pitch every day. They pitch every 5 days. Especially if they're a starting pitcher. So it's not a bad idea. It's just usually when I'm watching, I'm an observational bettor, but usually I'll just watch it. I'll try to remember it in the back of my mind. But then, like, let's say 5 days later, that pitcher stunk and he's pitching again 5 days later. I'm going to say, oh, yeah, I remember what happened to that guy. He couldn't find the strike zone. He didn't have any control. He didn't have any command. But that's usually the way I go about it.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you for your little insight there, Bobano. Let's get right into this slate here. It's pretty girthy 13-game slate we've got rocking today. I had some plays overnight that I circled, and I woke up to see the line just completely move on me. So going to make some adjustment on that aspect as well because a little frustrating there. I didn't make anything official, but we're going to move on and we're going to make these plays official as the show goes through. Let's go into Cubs Reds. First game on our slate, Hayden Wesneski versus Luis Cessa here. 6 appearances in the MLB last year for Hayden. Traded from the Yankees, I believe. And I forget what deal it was in. Was it in the Aroldis Chapman deal? I don't even know anymore. So I believe he was a Yankee, came over. His first appearance last year was against the Cincinnati Reds, and oddly enough, his last appearance was also against the Reds as well. So he went 5 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs in his first appearance. A great start there, 8 Ks, 1 walk. His last appearance of the year, 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, only one of them earned, 6 Ks, 1 walk. Obviously, the Reds at that point were kind of in cruise control tank mode, so who knows what we can take from that. But I'd be interested to see how he pitches here today. I'm definitely leaning towards the Cubs. I don't think Luis Cessa will be able to be a capable starter. I'll be interested to see how it goes for him. But I'm ultimately passing so far. So just be careful with the Reds' dangerous lineup if you're ending taking the Cubs. So what about you, Bobana? What do you think about this one?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to see baseball tonight in Cincinnati at the Great American Bandbox ballpark because 75% chance of rain. We'll have to see. This definitely is a game that could be impacted by weather. We'll have to wait and see on that. I hope not because this is actually one of the sides I like probably the most, one of my top sides. I like the Cubs' first 5 full game split in this game. I think it's a very good spot for the Cubs. I think they're road chalk for a reason. They've got a guy on the mound that I think's got some upside here in Hayden Wesneski, who pitched to a very solid 2.18 ERA, 0.94 whip, 7 walks, 33 strikeouts, and 33 major league innings last year. He certainly showed you some ability to get outs, be able to have success at the major league level. Now carrying that over into a full season. I still think this Reds lineup's a little bit feast or famine. You know, they're going to have days where they're going to score 9 runs, and then they're going to have days where they score 1 run. You know, I think that's the kind of lineup we're going to see from Cincinnati here throughout the course of the season. Luis Cessa is what he is, right? He's been a spot starter. He's mostly been a bullpen reliever. He'll come in there, he'll give you 4 or 5 innings, but he'll give up 3 runs. I mean, that's usually what you're going to get from him. You can't expect him to mow down any sort of decent lineup. I actually like what the Cubs have done offensively this year because if you look at the team last year, there were a lot of outs in that lineup. I think this year they bolstered it a little bit. When you bring in a Trey Mancini, you bring in a Dansby Swanson, who's gotten off to a nice start this year for the Cubs. You know, they took a flyer on Cody Bellinger thinking, you know what, he's sunk as low as it's going to get for him. He can only go up from this point. So I don't mind that signing at all by the Cubs. You're buying low on a guy that's still got some pop in his bat when he's on and he's right. So I like what they did there in that regard. I think the bullpen's decent. I certainly give them a bullpen edge here over the Reds. And I like this situation where they've lost a few games in a row now. I think it's a really big onus on them to bounce back here. And I think they got the better arm on the mound. So I got no problem laying the modest price here. First 5 full game split with the Cubs. An Ian special.
There we go. The Bobano special back again here. First 5 full game splits. I forgot about it. Now feels like baseball season's officially begun now that we've heard those lovely terms. So let's move on to one of my favorite ball clubs this year, the Minnesota Twins. I just love the AL Central, I guess. The Guardians, I fell in love with the last couple of games. By the way, 2-0 Padres, Nelson Cruz home run. Shout out to him.
I stayed off Gallen. I wanted to take him in a bounce back spot, but I didn't trust it fully. And I didn't worry about the Arizona squad hitting Darvish at all. So
I agree wholeheartedly. There. Sharpie called out his velocity being down. Baseball savant, you can see his velocity down from last year on his last start. So, yeah. Agree wholeheartedly there. But Sandy Alcantara versus Kenta Maeda. Last night, this line was minus 145 for the Marlins. So I was very interested to see it move all the way up to 160 here. Kenta Maeda has not pitched in a while, but maybe we've forgotten that I think he's a great pitcher. I'm not going to bet on him here because I want to see how he does coming off of TJ and all that stuff. But he pitched in spring, got some depth in there. I think he's a quality pitcher, and I hope he comes back to what he used to be, at least like 80% of it, so we can see how good he can be. I'll be interested here. I'm not on them, but I would be on the Minnesota Twins here. I just think it's a bit of an inflated price because of Sandy Alcantara. Obviously, he's already pitched this year. We remember opening day against the Mets. 5 2/3, 3 hits, 3 earned runs there, 2 Ks, 4 walks. Just does not look good so far this year. It's not look like Sandy, you know. And I was there for his WBC start. He got crushed. So, yeah, I'm staying off of Sandy Alcantara for the time being. Definitely would lean toward the undefeated Twins here.
Yeah, for me, this is just a simple. This is a classic. We don't bet teams. We don't bet pitchers. We bet prices. Yeah, and this price to me is just ridiculous. To be quite honest with you, that Miami's minus 160, and you know I love me some Sandy Alcantara and how good he was last year for the Miami Marlins, and how many times we backed him, especially in the first half of the season. But then by the All-Star break, the secret was out last year how good he was pitching, and you weren't getting those bargains anymore on Sandy, and you're certainly not getting them this year to begin the 2023 season, especially at a time when you're seeing some decline in his stuff here early in the season. So that bothers me. This is just taking a plus price with the better baseball team front to back, and that's Minnesota, which I did, and this is, I still like Sandy, but I don't love where his stuff's at right now. I was able to get, plus 128. I think I got a bad price on this because I think right now, if you look at the current live odds screens, you can see Minnesota is still, plus 140 now in some spots. So I got a bad number on this. I took plus 128. It's up to plus 140. I think you still have to look Twins or nothing here. They've got the much better lineup. Obviously, they beat the daylights out of the Marlins yesterday, and I was on Minnesota yesterday. I couldn't believe Tyler Mahle was as cheap. It was as cheap as he was yesterday in that game against Miami, and the Twins team just overall being better. I thought the plus price was worth taking the year. Now, Maeda is the wild card, right? Maeda, you don't know what you're going to get from him here. I totally understand that. Walks were a big issue. Command and control was a big issue in spring training for him. He really got roughed up early in spring training as well. But he did make noticeable strides forward and improvement in that final spring start that he made. So hopefully that's something he can build on here for this start against Miami. And to be honest with you, it's not like he's facing a overpowering lineup 1 through 9 here. So it's a manageable first start of the regular season here for Kenta Maeda with the Minnesota Twins. So I like the Twins here a little bit. I also like the over just a little bit. I mean, we're talking about a 7. We're talking about an MLB season where the overs have been hitting at a crazy clip so far. Now, is this going to continue? Probably not. And I'm sure we're going to see adjustments if this continues. But I watched these games early in the season, Jose. The pitch clock and the sped up version of baseball seems to be impacting pitching to a negative so far. And, it's speeding up the decision making. It's speeding up. I got to rifle through all the signs that the catcher is throwing at me. We got to come to a quick conclusion what we're going to throw at the very next pitch. And then when there's a runner on base and you only get 5 seconds more, 20 seconds, you're even more flustered because you wonder, do I need to throw back to first? I can only do it a couple of times now. I mean, it's just throwing a lot of these pitchers, and it's speeding them up to the point where they're uncomfortable on the mound, I think, in a lot of situations so far. So I think that's playing at least some part in the over bonanza that we've seen, especially yesterday. It was unbelievable, all the overs yesterday.
Yeah, 13,
but I think this
1
total's
1.
just, yeah, there you go. So I just think this total's a little bit low. So at 7, I'm on the over as well.
Yeah, I have 2 other, little theorems for the over Palooza, all the runs as well. First of all, I like yours. I mean, I think it's definitely affecting relief pitchers too. Yep. When they come into those like sticky situations, now they've got to be just like really sped up, and obviously all that happened to James Karinchak against the Seattle Mariners, et cetera, et cetera. But my 2 theorems really is one, the lack of shift obviously is really starting to be
that
noticeable.
Too. Yeah.
Average on ground balls is definitely gone up. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but you can look them up pretty easily. You can just check the batting average for balls in play, especially on the ground. It's gone up. So that's a big factor as well. And on top of that, I'm obviously a Red Sox fan. I've watched how many, overs or whatever, how many runs the Red Sox and their opponents have scored in the last couple of days. Alex Cora came out and said, I've never seen the balls fly like this. So let's put on our fucking tin hats like my guy Clint McLean, and let's talk about juice balls again. Let's have the conversation again, because it's not like we can't say that this fucking league has never done that before. We can't say that it's never intentionally used 2 sets of balls or maybe 3 sets of balls for certain players that are chasing certain records. I mean, it's all been out there. It's all been reported. So we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, it's been I bet unders on the first 2 days, first 5 unders. I lost on all of them, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to bet any more unders for right now, and I'm glad I stayed off yesterday. So that's been the big change that I've made, at least in the first couple of days. So I liked your notes there, Bobano. And
Joey Gallo with great numbers against Sandy Alcantara, by the way. So maybe Gallo
and
over
on fire.
bases. Yeah. And on fire to start the year. So that over 1.5 total bases is a bet for me as well in this one for Minnesota.
By the way, it was so obvious Joey Gallo was going to have a great year in Minnesota this year because Sonny Gray is literally the pitcher version of Joey Gallo. Goes to New York after being in a small market, can't handle the bright lights of New York, gets shit talked by the fans, goes to a small market, and then it just worked out. It's just a big mentorship there. So shout out to him as well. And by the way, 3-0 now, Padres. Zach Gallen. Not in it yet.
So far, it's looking like last year was the year to bet on Zach Gallen, not 2023, at least early.
That is in fact what it looks like so far. Yeah. Phillies Yankees, next game on our slate. And I was shocked to write down the Phillies starter here. Someone's going to have to help me out here. I'm going to double check RotoWire. Is this an opener? Are we really doing this with Matt Strahm? Because as everyone knows, again, Red Sox fan, Matt Strahm was on the Red Sox last year. And the Red Sox did try to sign him. But for some reason, I don't know who got into his ear, but they said, I want to be a starter. I want to be a starting pitcher. And the Red Sox are like, no, dude, you're obviously a reliever. Like you're a good reliever. Stay with that. And I guess the Philadelphia Phillies said, hey, knock yourself out, dude. Come be a starter for us. Is this an opener? I don't know. I'll be interested to see. But I was wholly off just when I saw Matt Strahm in the fucking bump for the Phillies here. I was all set. On top of that, guess what? This Phillies team, only team in baseball without a win so far. So I'm not going to back this Phillies squad. I obviously don't want to bet the Yankees with Domingo Germán, who I don't think is very good at all. Didn't face the Yankees last year, so I don't really, or didn't face the Phillies last year, so I have nothing to really go off of. But nothing for me here. So it's just another easy pass for me. Lean over.
Yeah, I would lean over, but I'm passing as well. I mean, that's just – I actually think the number's a little rich on Germán, but the Phillies are just a mess right now. And it's one of those instances where prove to me you can win a baseball game, and then I'll back you. Until then, I don't want any part. And it's not like Matt Strahm is going to, go deep into this ball game. And the thought of a lot of the Phillies' middle relief in this game is not something I'm overly enthused about at Yankee Stadium against this Yankees lineup, which obviously pulverized our old buddy Taijuan Walker, and that was one of the bets I was on yesterday. I love the card. Yeah, I wish I could say I like today's card as much. I don't, but there's still some good spots. Like I said, I like that Cubs spot. There's a bunch more that I like too, but yesterday's card was awesome, I thought, and that was just clear as day. Over 4.5 team total on the Yankees. We targeted Walker. He didn't have a good outing, obviously, and the Yankees ended up getting the better of him and the Phillies yesterday. Let's be honest, Phillies obviously have had a rough start to the season. Maybe it's getting to the World Series last year and losing to the Astros, maybe a little hangover effect from that potentially, but obviously doesn't help that, Rhys Hoskins suffers the season-ending injury in spring, and you've had a few injuries to deal with. The rotation hasn't lived up. You haven't exactly hit the outside of Trey Turner, and no one's really being consistent so far early in the season for the Phillies. But by the way, that is something I do like in this game on the Phillies side. The bet I didn't make a side or a total bet, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Trey Turner's gone over 1.5 total bases in every game so far for the Philadelphia Phillies. So why not jump off the train, if you will. On that right now. He's been clearly going over that prop as far as his total bases are concerned. 5 straight, like I said, he's gone over 1.5 total bases every game this year over that number. So that's the one bet for me. Trey Turner, Philadelphia, over 1.5 total bases.
All right, beautiful there, Bobano. I have nothing on this game. Of course, lean over, but we'll see how all that progresses. And by the way, I can't wait for the people. There's this doctor in physics or Meredith Willis or something like that. She's been running all the tests on the balls. I can't wait. She's already been like, all right, let's call the balls. Help me round up these balls. So we'll see how those tests.
Wouldn't shock me. They want runs. Every league wants more offense now. So
yeah, 100%.
That's no secret.
So I'm going to be interested to see what they come up with. Tampa Bay Rays, Washington Nationals. The easiest pass of the day for me. The Rays, who I've been, in and out on this year. I was like, man, the rotation's really good. And then Glass now got hurt. And I was like, all right, maybe not. But no, their rotation's as good as I thought it was going to be, and they're a juggernaut. I think they're going to be. I think this is the dark horse to win the AL East. So I'll be interested to see how they go. But I'm not betting with Josh Fleming on the bump here. I'm all set. Chad Kuhl, you know how we all feel about Chad Kuhl, Bobano. So I'm passing. I'll be interested to see how he does. That's somewhere that isn't Colorado, but nothing for me here. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Fleming's a concern, but I'm back on Tampa again. I'm going to go the -1 run line here on Tampa Bay. I mean, it's just a mismatch here. Washington's going to be one of the worst teams in the National League, if not all Major League Baseball. They've got a bottom-tier starter on the mound in Chad Kuhl. I get it. He pitched for Colorado last year, and so obviously that's going to be a tall order for any mediocre, middling arm. But he's not someone I trust. He's not someone I think is going to shut down. What actually you got to give them credit is a red-hot Rays lineup. I am shocked about the offense we've seen from Tampa Bay, because the one concern I had with them coming into this season was going to be what would they get from this team offensively. But man, they have gotten a lot so far from this group. You got guys like Josh Lowe and Luke Raley, among others, are hitting well to begin the season. Luke Raley's hitting 300 for them. Yandy Diaz is hitting 300 for them so far this season. Randy Arozarena, of course, they've still got. Wander Franco is just on fire. 533 average for him so far early in the season. So, yeah, Tampa Bay, as long as Tampa Bay is hitting the baseball, they're going to be tough as fuck to beat with that starting staff and with the bullpen that they have. And you're seeing evidence of that here. So, Washington's been a team I've been against them a lot, Jose. Right from day one out of the chute, I was on Atlanta team total and all these other bets against Washington. I took them. The only game I stayed off Washington was the game they won. It was the Sunday finale against Atlanta, because I didn't love the pitcher that was on the mound there for Atlanta. I like Mackenzie Gore. I actually do like Mackenzie Gore for Washington. And I think he's the one pitcher in this rotation I'm going to be like, either I'm going to pump the brakes on fading Washington with Mackenzie Gore on the mound, or I might even back them a couple times when he's on the mound. But other than that, I want no part of this team pretty much. And Tampa Bay's rolling. I like the -1 run line. I did bet over 8.5 this morning. It was -125. I laid $1.25 on over 8.5 as well. In this game, it's moved to 9. It's going to be a pretty mild night. Looks like some winds could be blowing out in DC as well. It's a warm weather kind of night. The ball could be traveling a bit. And plus, I see it this way. The one concern is Fleming, because he had a 6.4 ERA last year. And historically, Washington hasn't been that bad against lefties. So Washington could score some runs tonight. I mean, I don't know if Fleming's going to totally shut them down. So I feel like if I lose the Tampa bet, I'm probably not going to lose the over, because that means Washington's going to score some runs tonight, because I do think Tampa will score as well. So for me, 2 bets, Tampa -1 and over 8.5. Up to 9. I still like it at 9, actually.
Yeah, I don't hate Tampa -1. Makes a whole lot of sense. What line did you get for it?
-130. I think it was -138. Let me double check that. Yeah, -138 at Pinnacle.
Yeah, makes a whole lot of sense to me. I like that look for you there, Bobano. Let's move on to a very conflicting matchup for me, as everyone knows. Boston Red Sox, Pittsburgh Pirates here. And, I don't know what to say at this point with the Red Sox. Like I said, Alex Cora thinks these balls are literally juice. Maybe the Red Sox pitching is that bad. I don't think so. I'd like to think that they're a little better than this. But I'll tell you this. Nick Pavetta's spring training gave me nothing to be enthusiastic about. I talked about this game this morning with Jimmy and Pete on their show. I'm going to be on the Pirates team total over 4.5. I want to double check the line real quick. I got on that 4.5 plus 110. So, and I will double check on Bovada as well, because I just remembered that I wrote down some of those bets last night. So I need to double check as well. But I just think at the end of the day, Nick Pavetta's accuracy or control just not been there all spring. He's been testing out a new change or a new curveball that he tries to rework. I'm not a fan of it. I liked his long loopy one personally. Maybe it's just more visually appealing. I don't know, but I'm actually going to take Pirates team total over 4. It is now. It's over 4 plus 105. So that is what I will be on today there. Bobano, what do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, you're partially on what I'm looking at. I've got actually Pittsburgh money line in the full game over here with the if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Boston, every game's gone over the total so far this year. Now, tonight is not exactly over weather at Fenway. It's going to be a little dreary, a little colder, wind blowing in from what I see at Fenway tonight. So that's why people have bet this total down. This total actually opened 9.5, went down to 9. I even saw a couple 8.5s start to appear, and it was all weather related. There are still a couple 8.5, so you can get 8.5 minus 124 at Heritage, over 8.5 if you like the over. But I still do. Boston's lineup has started to get going a little bit, and I love Rafael Devers over 1.5 total bases tonight, by the way, for the Red Sox. He's been feeling it. That is definitely a bet that I've been going to the well with repeatedly here in the early season. So Devers to go over 1.5 total bases. He's had 2+ total bases in every game this year, just like our guy Trey Turner for Philadelphia in the other game. He's gone over 1.5 total bases every game so far. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You ride the streaks. That's the kind of bettor I am in every sport. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Devers over 1.5 total bases again. I think Boston will hit Roansy Contreras. He's kind of been up. He's been down. He didn't pitch well against Boston last year. Boston got to him, 4 runs, 6 hits, didn't pitch great. And I don't trust Nick Pivetta. I don't care that he's Canadian. He's not someone that I trust here to shut down a major league lineup. Last year kind of started out okay for him. He had this nice little run going, and then it kind of fell off for him down the stretch. Pittsburgh, by the way, surprisingly here in this series, they've gotten their offense cranked up, which maybe speaks volumes about the Boston pitching staff and the state of it right now. That even Pittsburgh, who didn't really hit the ball exceptionally well against Cincy in the opening series over the weekend, all of a sudden their bats, what's gotten into Brian Reynolds for Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
What a sicko.
It's unbelievable. So that's one that I've got to look at too for total bases is Brian Reynolds right now for the Pittsburgh Pirates. The streak he's on to begin the season's been magnificent. So there's some good total base props. Those are the two that stand out. Reynolds for the Pirates, Devers for the Red Sox. I like Pittsburgh at the money line. And obviously I like the full game because I want to go against the Red Sox bullpen as well, which has been obviously having some issues as well. So I like Pittsburgh at the underdog price. You can get it as high as plus 130, plus 135 right now. And I like that over. Again, shop around. A couple books do still have an 8.5 out there with that over. So Pirates and over.
All right, beautiful. Pirates in the over there. I agree with you. I would be on the Pirates if I had to take a side here as well. Shout out to everyone in the chat as always. Picks from Dave, JPZ Nunya, Professor Chris, Man Bear Pig, Lessman, Viper MB, Rocco Rogers, Rick J369, all you guys, Andrew G, Chief. We appreciate you guys all for watching. Shout out D Jenkins and all you guys that are watching and not commenting. We appreciate you guys. Let's keep it rolling here. And by the way, yes, the Diamondbacks have scored. It's 3-1. Diamondbacks are frisky this year, lads. Frisky squad. So watch those D-backs. New York Mets versus the Milwaukee Brewers here. Max Scherzer making a second start of the year versus the Swamp Monster, Wade Miley. And I wanted absolutely nothing to do with Wade Miley in this start. I'll be interested to see how he does. The Brewers offense is hitting. I will give them that shout out. The Brewers offense is hitting. They got some young pieces there that are surprisingly stepping up and doing really well. So shout out to them as well. And Max Scherzer's a beast. I didn't want to go up against him. Maybe I'd lean over here again, but I can say that about literally every game. I just lean over for every game on the card. So that's just me being lazy, I suppose. So I'm passing here. He did face Milwaukee late last year. Max Scherzer did, and no hit them through 6 innings. So make of that what you will. So pass game for me again here, Bobana. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Max to me is one of those guys where I'm not rushing at this point to lay a price with him because obviously when he's on, he can shut you down and go 7 innings and 1-run ball. But he's not the guarantee to do that, every single time out, maybe like he once did. Wade Miley on the flip side, lefty, veteran lefty for the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll see how he fares here. Last year, of course, the 3.16 ERA with the Cubs. Not bad, actually, when you look at the numbers for him last year. And we'll see how he fares. He was okay, I guess, in the spring. It'll be interesting to see if he can shut down this Mets team. Mets have been a weird team so far. They've had some games where they've busted out offensively, and then they've had some games where they've been shut down. So they've been kind of up and down offensively early on. And I like the spot for the Mets. A lot of times he got just absolutely blown out like they did yesterday against Milwaukee. I mean, it just got away from them. Carrasco wasn't on, and then they fed Tommy Hunter to the Wolves later on in that game.
Yep.
And he took one for the team, so to speak. When you lose like that, you like a quality team to bounce back. So in theory, the spot favors the Mets. Certainly, I think they've still got the edge pitching-wise with Scherzer. I just don't want to lay this kind of price, though. So pass for me as well. Lean Mets.
Agreed. Pass here. Lean Mets. Also, of course, lean towards the over. Toronto Blue Jays versus the Kansas City Royals here. And it's finally here. It's Kikuchi Day. Everyone relax. It's finally here. And now is the moment that Dennis Garcia has been waiting for 4 weeks. He's been on his Kikuchi to win the Cy Young. Kikuchi to win the Cy Young. This is all he's been saying for the last 2 months. And I like my guy DG, and I'm going to trust my guy DG here. So I'm going to take Toronto first 5 money line. First 5 minus a half because money line was too juiced. First 5 minus a half, minus 125 here. Kikuchi, come on. You better come through for us here because you had a great, good, whatever you want to call it, spring. But I'll be interested to see how he does. The Royals have only faced 12 plate appearances worth of a lefty this year so far. So I'll be interested to see how they go that way. And, of course, Chris Bubich is not a good baseball player, and I do not believe in him. So I will trust the red hot. Well, no, it's not even call them red hot. I would call them very middling and just Blue Jays right now. But I'll trust them here in their offense to get through against the lefty here. So give me the Blue Jays, first 5 minus a half, minus 125.
I got to see it from Kikuchi before I'm ready to buy this narrative that he looks like this totally different transformed pitcher in the spring. And the one thing I want to point out about his spring starts, while the strikeouts were off the charts. And by the way, I don't think a Kikuchi over strikeout prop is a bad way to go in this game. I think I could see both pitchers actually going over their strikeout prop because the Jays are striking out quite a bit right now. That offense has not lived up to the hype here in the first few games. Outside of that first game against St. Louis, where they pulled it out, they're only victory so far of the season on opening day. But, it's just, I got to see it because the one thing he still had issues with Kikuchi in the spring were the walks, and so he's still got to, rein those in a little bit, but his stuff was good. The movement was incredible. He got a lot of swings and misses, like the swinging strike rate. Oh, it was off the chart in spring. And he looked definitely more dominant than he did at any point last year. But now I got to see it in a real game, in a regular season game. So I'm pumping the brakes on this game altogether. I did want to get to the over, but everybody beat me to it. It was 10 before I could look. So, I get it. It's been over heavy. It's been over heavy the last couple of days, especially yesterday. And I do think there's potential for this to be a slugfest, but now that it's up to 10, I'm pumping the brakes a little bit on that total. This is definitely one of those. You talk about take notes. This would be the take notes game of the night for me. Take notes. Both of these pitchers, but especially Kikuchi, how they fare rather than make a bet.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to watch the Cooch versus Boob Bowl here. I will also mention that total does reflect very strong winds, 19-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to left field, going down a little bit to 17.5 at 9 o'clock, apparently, according to Swish, but of course, the wind's blowing out, and we will hope our guy Kikuchi can deal with it. All right, let's move on to our next matchup here as I turn the page on my notes. Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, and this is the game where I got fucked. Last night, it opened at a 9, and I was like, what? 9? And I sat there, I looked at it. I was like, all right, I'm going to bet this tomorrow morning. I'll give it out during the show, feeling confident about it. I got home at like 12:30 last night, so I started doing research at like 1, and then before I could do anything, it's like, all right, I'm just not going to worry about it. I'll just save it for tomorrow. And, of course, I wake up as the total's a 10 now. It's like, God, of course, classic. The other one I wanted to make, St. Louis Cardinals team total over 4.5. Last night it was, let me double check what I wrote down again. Last night it was 4.5 minus 105. Now you can get the 5 at minus 110 and 4.5 like minus 150. The Cardinals were destructive against lefties. Dylan Dodd making his debut this year. And I think his rookie debut and overall, I didn't look at his last year's stats, but believe this is his first start in the majors. He's a lefty on the road in Busch. I'm not gonna. No way I would trust this kid to pitch well right now. I'll need to see it. I obviously don't trust Steven Matz either. So, like I said, I lean Cardinals team total over. But I don't know if I can take it now that I've lost the 9 and the 4.5. So, what do you think, Bobano?
Yeah, not only that, but how many teams were better against lefty pitching last year than St. Louis? That's another thing stacking up against Dylan Dodd here tonight in this game. So, it's just a tough ask. And you talk about lineups that have, somewhat taken me by surprise. Now, I knew they'd be pretty good. I'm not sure I knew they'd be this good, though, St. Louis. What I've seen from this lineup. This has been impressive from them throughout the Toronto series, the game last night. That's a damn good lineup, especially when Goldie and Arenado have it going in the 3-4 spot. And you're seeing it right now from them. And Contreras has been great. My Canadian friend Tyler O'Neill's been great. They've got Jordan Walker, who's got a potential to be a dominant hitter at the major league level for a long time to come. Donovan and some of these other guys like Gorman's off to a solid start. This has been a very impressive lineup here for the St. Louis Cardinals. I think they're one of the top lineups so far in baseball, no question. So I think this is going to be a rough night potentially at the office for Dylan Dodd. But there's no way I'm trusting the other guy either, Steven Matz. I mean, he is what he is at this point, and it's more bad than good, I find, from him. And the Atlanta lineup, this is maybe one game where they might take a slight backseat to St. Louis, but they're pretty damn good in their own right with Matt Olson, who's off to a nice start, Ronald Acuna Jr., of course. Austin Riley gets a big home run right off the chute last night. Ozzie Albies had actually a nice start to the year as well for the Braves with the bats. So this is a lineup that's pretty damn good too, and it's not like I'm trusting Steven Matz to mow them down. So this total's only gone one way from the opener, and I'm in total agreement with it. So I'm in on this over. I didn't get the best number either. At least I got in at 9.5, Jose. I didn't even get the best of the number. I missed 8.5. I missed 9, and I barely got the 9.5, but I did. It's gone up pretty much. It's a big move. Like, I'd maybe pump the brakes a little bit, but I don't want any part of an under with these two teams and these two pitchers.
I can't get there with the under as well. Christopher Comentini, to answer your question, he was okay. He had 280, 5 RBIs. It was fine. It wasn't anything like too remarkable. So, but Goldie, MVP, reigning MVP. Just got to remember that.
Oh yeah, so over total bases, Goldschmidt too for me. 100%. That's a no-brainer. That's been one we've been going back to the well with repeatedly this season, and we're going right back to it here tonight as well for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's been absolutely outstanding for them. I think he probably continues the hot run here tonight as well against the Atlanta Braves. He's been hitting the ball extremely well. So, yeah, back to the well once again. It's been cashing for me, Paul Goldschmidt, over 1.5 total bases.
And I'm sure he crushes lefties, too, just historically. Yep. So keep all that in mind. Shout out to you, Bobano. And by the way, I've seen a lot of green in the chat. To see some people that aren't green. What does that mean, you might ask? Join the Pub Members Club today. It's $4.99 a month. It's a good way to support the pub. What do you get when you join a members club? We answer your questions. If you want a specific bet from us, et cetera, et cetera. If you're green, we'll be answering it. If you're not green, I'll just ignore you. It'll be very nice. It's great. But definitely become a green member today. It's fun. $4.99 a month. Easy way to support the pub and make sure that we can keep on doing this lovely content. Next game in our slate is the game that got announced very late, so I've done the least amount of research for it. But at some point, you don't have to do research with these streaks, Bobano. You just kind of close your eyes and bet Orioles team total overs. That's what I did a couple days ago, I guess. I don't remember now. I was against the Red Sox, I'm fairly certain. I don't remember which game, but I just think the Orioles are just good enough that we just keep betting these small team totals on them. It's pretty nice that they're the underdogs in these games, and their offense is, maybe getting questioned. I don't know. I guess it's their pitching that really holds them back from being favorites in these games. But just plain and simply, a Orioles team total over 4 at plus 105. Yes, please. I'll take that. Andrew Heaney, I know pitched well last year, especially on the Dodgers, but we know what the Dodgers do. Dodgers are a player development factory. They find a way, just like the Giants did the other year with all their old pitchers. They always find a way to pull something out of a player that they hadn't had before or something like that. Do I trust the Texas Rangers to do the same? No. Andrew Heaney's fine the last 2 years, but I just think that at the end of the day, I believe in the Orioles and I like their offense enough so they can get 4 runs here at the very least. So Orioles team total over 4 plus 105 here for me.
Yeah, this is kind of like the Pittsburgh game. You went with the team total with Pittsburgh. I like the money line. You went with the team total with Baltimore. I like the money line here as well with Baltimore. It's just an undervalued team. You know, I don't think people realize that the Orioles are a solid outfit once again this year. You know, we saw the strides they made last year. You know, their pitching is not anything that's going to wow you, but you know, they've got a guy that's going to come back to Texas, face his former team. And I'm not a big fan of Kyle Gibson. And who knows, he wasn't necessarily going to start this game initially. But obviously, Brandon Hyde figured, we'll put him in there. It's facing his former team. We'll see how he fares here. He obviously didn't have the best of outings in that first start at Boston. 4 runs, 6 hits, 5 innings. That's also why I like the over in this game, over 8.5 as well, which is minus 115 right now. I think we'll see this game get over the total. We saw a low-scoring game last night. This was one of the very few, I think it was the only game actually in Major League Baseball yesterday to stay under the total was Baltimore and Texas, 2-0 for Baltimore. I think you'll see runs tonight, though. I think Orioles can hit Heaney. Farewell here against lefties. They normally do, this Orioles team. Kyle Gibson will be motivated, I think, against Texas because he used to be here, but I still think Texas can get enough quality at bats and looks and runs against him to help this game get up and over the total. But I like Baltimore here. Baltimore's bullpen solid. You know, as long as Gibson doesn't blow up here in the first few innings, Baltimore's going to have a real good shot to win this game. I like the lineup. Cedric Mullins, who I like over total bases tonight. Adley Rutschman. Mountcastle's gotten off to a pretty solid start for the Orioles as well. You know, this lineup's solid enough. Gunnar Henderson goes without saying he's going to be a really good hitter, really good player for this team for a long period of time. There's no doubt. I just think they're an undervalued squad, and Andrew Heaney doesn't warrant this kind of price tag. So Orioles and over for me.
Agreed. And I've been interested in watching the Texas Rangers. Justin, I'll show the tattoo in a second, but that might be the comment of the year right there so far. But at the end of the day, yeah, I agree with you. I've been interested in the Texas Rangers rotation. Obviously, I love Nasty Nate. DeGrom shit the bed, but we always want to watch him pitch. But yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting time. I'm going to watch this game intensely, and I can't wait.
I was on Baltimore last night. Part of it was I know they swept Philadelphia, but maybe Philadelphia is bad right now, and Philadelphia is proven at the moment they're bad right now. So it's I think we overvalued Texas sweeping that series a little bit.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Justin, there you go. I'll leave my arm up for this next intro so your wife can look at my tattoo as well. I'll even get a little closer for you there too. Tattoo. There you go. There you go. Detroit, Houston is our next game on our slate, and I've got to flip through my notes here. Matt Manning versus Framber Valdez making his second appearance of the year. I love Framber Valdez. You guys all know this. I didn't fade him, but I went against him last time in his first outing. Took some White Sox first 5 team total over 1.5 just to see. They're good against lefties allegedly, but no, Framber Valdez is that good. 5 innings, 6 hits, no earned runs there. Looked great.
Did labor though. He tightrope walked his way out of a lot of trouble in that game.
6 hits,
that's what good pitchers
traffic.
do.
Yeah, that's what he does. You know, obviously, he's a sinker ball kind of pitcher, and he's one of those pitchers that we would think like, oh, no more shift, a lot of ground balls. Those hits might be coming through now for Framber, but I think he still looked good. Minus 280 is a little ridiculous, obviously. And for those of you that know me, you guys know any minus 300, we'll take the dog money line on the other side and we'll ride it out. I thought it was going to be here. I was a little nervous, honestly, but no, unfortunately not. Matt Manning on the other side. I've got no Matt Manning takes. None. His velocity dropped apparently, so we'll see. But I just need to see it, I guess. A lot of injuries last year. So can the Tigers somehow beat the Astros here again? So we'll find out. Pass game for me, Bobana. What about you?
Yeah, I actually took a very small flyer with the first half full game split on Detroit here at the huge number. I just think with Houston just not putting it all together at the moment, 2-3, and the offense has been good one game, just silent the next. And Matt Manning, I think, does have the potential to be good long term. He didn't have a great spring. There are those whispers that the velocity decline is real and could, be an issue. But I'm going to back him at this price. And he's actually pitched against Houston before and not pitched that terribly against them. So, he can keep the Tigers in this. And you look at the Tigers too. They finally get that first win of their season after a very rough weekend in Tampa Bay. I think if anything, that gives them a little bit of a more pep in their step for this next game against Houston. It's just, to me, just a little bit high, the price here in this game. And I've got some potential, at least, for Matt Manning. Now, this could be 5-0 Astros after the first 2 innings. It's fully capable, especially if Manning lives up to the struggles he had in the spring and the velocity is an issue. But, I think at this price, someone I projected to have modest success at least this year, even though Detroit's probably going to have a tough season. You're going to have to bite the bullet throughout the course of a 162-game season and bet, the inferior team at a good price if you think it makes sense from a spot and a pitching standpoint. And in this spot, I do. So for me, Detroit first 5 full game split. Just small, but we're on both.
Agreed. Rick J., since you're asking, this is Tattoo Corner now, Bobano. That is the green monster right there. That small line right there. See, Bobana, this is what happens.
See that. Look at that. They put a lot of thought into that. Yep.
Yeah, thank you. It took them a whole 30 minutes to do it. So it was a great time. And of course, you can watch the whole process on Pub Sports Radio's YouTube right now. Tits out and everything. Guy had me take my shirt off. So I hope you guys enjoy that whole process. And Justin, maybe refer your wife to that video so she can watch the whole process. It's a lovely time.
Magic
Cleveland
Mike World Tour will not be Jose's next stop. No.
Well, you don't know. You don't know. Maybe it is. Philly 56. That is a tattoo.
It's okay. It ain't my next stop either. So we're okay.
Okay, fair enough. No, your stop is obviously Montreal. We know where you're going, Bobana. Montreal is the place to be in Canada. Guardians A's next on our slate. And I have seen a lot of cappers that I trust on Cleveland first 5 here, -0.5. They eat the juice at -125. And you know what? I was like, why wouldn't I be? I like this Cleveland Guardians team a lot. Shane Bieber, good. JP Sears is okay. Traded midseason to Oakland. Got a bunch of starts when he went over to Oakland. Looked fine. Not the best, but I could see a young pitcher struggling after getting traded from the Yankees to the Oakland A's. I'm sure there's a culture shock there, especially when you get thrown into the starting rotation. But maybe he pitches a little better, that he's had time to acclimate in Oakland. But I'm passing on betting the A's here. I'm on Cleveland first 5 -0.5, -125. I'm going to eat the juice here, and I'm going to trust my fellow baseball cappers here because it's been a pretty crazy ride watching these Guardians just score with all their no-name brand players today. So I will say the last little note here so far, 45 plate appearances, 118 weighted runs created plus against lefties, 12th in the league so far. So we'll see how it goes for them. Bobana, what do you think?
Yeah, what I think is this Cleveland team, people are authoring their demise a little too soon. After saying last year that, a lot went their way, that they played slap ball and advance the runner and move runners over, steal bases, that kind of thing. That's not going to duplicate itself this year. Well, they're off to a nice 4-1 start. They played very well in that series against Seattle over the weekend, another team that has aspirations of winning the American League. So I like what I'm seeing out of Cleveland here so far to begin the season. 12-11, a crazy game last night. Back and forth with Plesac and Caprillion in a slugfest. That was another game I liked over. I think we're probably going to see something a little bit different here tonight with Shane Bieber against Sears here for Oakland. I think Sears has some upside long term, but still Bieber to me, someone last year I was looking to bet against a little bit because I noticed he had some velocity issues at times, but he really worked those out down the stretch. And even with those concerns, he pitched well late in the season. He had a solid enough first outing, and it's And let's be honest, Oakland's lineup, they did score 11 last night. I'm still wondering how, but it's still a lineup that you're not projecting them to have a boatload of success this year when they face better, above average, elite level pitching.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm off this game entirely, sidewise, totals wise, but I'm certainly not going to step in front of Cleveland. By the way, how good is Stephen Kwan? I mean, my gosh, this
Yeah.
guy just continues to be just so much fun to watch. Yeah, does he hit for power? No, but he does everything else you want out of a ball player. He moves station to station. He puts the ball in play. He gives you good at bats. He's got speed. He's very good defensively. He's everything you want in a ball player. Stephen Kwan, one of the most underrated players in baseball right now.
Now, I don't know when this happened. It seems like, I don't know, it might have been last year officially. It might have been 2 years ago. I'll give Stephen Kwan credit here and say it was last year. There's been a change in baseball because obviously in the last, before this change, it was 3 true outcomes. Let's hit home runs. Who cares about strikeouts, et cetera, et cetera. Now we're all about bat to ball. Let's not strike out. Let's get the ball in play. Et cetera, et cetera. So I that's Stephen Kwan's definitely one of those guys too that just bat the ball, get the ball in play too. So and it makes for more entertaining baseball, and baseball likes that as well. So just keep that in mind as well. The Cleveland Guardians were absolutely one of those teams that first was like, we're not going to hit home runs. Like they just kind of accepted that we don't have home run hitters, so we're just going to keep putting the ball in play and got them to a division title last year and almost beat the Yankees last year. And that's what they're going to keep doing. Shout out to them and shout out to their hitting coach as well. Last two games on our slate here. LA Angels versus the Seattle Mariners. It's funny. I don't know if it's just like fatigue at the end of capping all these games, but the West Coast games is just really not interest me at all. Whether it was Seattle, Cleveland, I thought, these two teams are very good. Let's just watch these games play out. Or now it's the two shit teams against the two good teams, I guess, and these two divisions. The Angels, I don't trust, obviously. I would be slightly interested into a team total over for the Angels, but I don't want to go up against Luis Castillo. I think he's phenomenal. He pitched last time in opening day, obviously. 6 innings, 1 hit ball against the aforementioned Cleveland Guardians, which, again, is hard to do because they're a very good hitting squad, shockingly enough. And Jose Suarez does not inspire confidence. He's gone up against the Seattle Mariners squad 4 times in 2022. They were pretty good, too. We went back-to-back, 4 1/3, 4 hits, no earned runs there. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run there. And that was a back-to-back. So it was pretty impressive. You can't hate that. 5 1/3, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, bad. 5 innings, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, not good either. So I'll be interested to see how the Mariners bounce back because they've been kind of in a slump early. Not playing the best. Need to get something going through the Mariners because you're obviously competing against the Astros, who are also struggling right now, and any kind of division lead you could get against them right now would be very beneficial, but I'm passing here. So what do you think, Bobeno?
I think it's a great spot for Seattle to finally get off the schneid and get back in the win column. Obviously, it's been a struggle. I mean, the Cleveland series, that's a tough opponent to play. Your first series of the season playing that Cleveland team. And obviously, it was tough. They lost 3 of 4. And then they got bombed 7-3 last. A very disappointing outing for George Kirby for the Seattle Mariners in that one. I expected a little better out of him there. I think this is a good spot for them to turn things around. I'm not a big Suarez guy. The lefty for the Angels. He can be serviceable at times, but I just think he's going to run into some trouble here. There's a couple of Mariners that have some really good numbers against him. Suarez only has a 4.08 ERA in his career against the Seattle Mariners. The one to watch out for is J.P. Crawford. I mean, you talk about sample size and a lengthy sample size of success. The one thing you want to look at when you're dealing with batter versus pitcher history, don't just look. You'll see some hitters are batting 500, 600, but it's like 3 for 5, 2 for 3. It's a very, very small sample size. You want something where it's at least 10, 15, 20, 25 at bats against that particular pitcher. Then you got some meat on the bone when it comes to a particular hitter having success against a pitcher. Well, for J.P. Crawford of the Mariners, he's 8 for 20, hitting 400 with 3 extra base hits against Jose Suarez in his career. So J.P. Crawford's on the over total bases sheet for me. There's no question about that here tonight, given that success that he's had against Jose Suarez. I like the Mariners here in this spot to bounce back. I like them in the first 5 innings, -0.5 You can get that at a pretty reasonable price as well here for this game. I think they can. With Castillo is definitely someone that I'm looking to bet on. I was on him in the opener. Pitched very well against Seattle, the only game they've won so far this year. So I'm going to go with that -0.5, -110 Mariners in the first 5 innings. And you can also look at that full game run line as well. So it's basically going to be a run line split for me in this game. -0.5, -110 on Seattle, first 5, and also -1, -114 full game.
Beautiful there, Bobano. And shout out to everyone in the chat as always. I would love to trust the Mariners. It's just I don't want to back them in the high juice situation. By the way, another thing that kind of concerns me here, only 4 plate appearances against lefties so far this year, so we'll see how they face now. But yeah, pass game for me, Bobano on the Mariners. I could easily see them bouncing back, though. So shout out to you. Shout out to Tate Butta, Daniel's son, Professor Chris, Rick J. So there was apparently an error in the Padres game, and now the Arizona Diamondbacks are in this 5-3 Padres lead with guys threatening for your Snakes. And one more shout out, Tate Butta, shout it out. Dabby Cab, Padres first 5 with Yu Darvish. You'll see that often. It'll be a play for his, and I think I'm going to jump on his bandwagon quietly, and I'll be betting Yu Darvish first 5s as well, but don't tell Cab, guys. Don't tell Cab. Last game on our slate, Colorado Rockies versus the Doyers. Julio Urias versus Germán Marquez. I think it's just an easy, like, Dodgers probably roll. Germán Marquez has seen the Dodgers plenty of times. His first start against the Dodgers of last year was phenomenal. 7 innings of 3-hit ball. His last start against the Dodgers was great, but that last start was kind of in the Dodgers kind of throwing in the towel, like phoning it in. Like, we've got our 120 wins or whatever it was last year. Let's just kind of move on to the playoffs. Everything in between, he got shelled. So I'm not going to trust him. Julio Urias also has good success against the Rockies, so easy pass. Dodgers roll, but that's the easiest thing to say ever. So
not so fast, my friend. I'm coming back with a rebuttal on this one because I was on Colorado that last start he made against the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. Germán Marquez, you want no part of him at Coors, all right, at Coors Field in Denver. But on the road, he's a decent pitcher. And in fact, at Dodger Stadium, he hasn't been that bad at all. And I like the idea of you're getting the Rockies off an embarrassing loss last night. They got, just absolutely destroyed by the Dodgers. That game was over early. They ended up losing 13-4. Ryan, the gas can Feltner, as expected, wasn't any good for the Rockies, just like last year. I definitely think the Rockies are live at this price because Marquez has been serviceable on the road. And, obviously Julio Urias, is certainly a pitcher that we've got to be respectful of, but we're talking about a big number here for Julio in this spot. And if you look at the further numbers here against the Colorado Rockies, yeah, he's done okay against them overall, but still, 4.91 ERA is his overall career numbers, against the Colorado Rockies. And like I said, when you look at Marquez against the Dodgers, the career numbers aren't great, 3.58 ERA, but 8 career starts at Dodger Stadium. 2.49 ERA for Marquez here at Dodger Stadium, and opposing hitters less than 200 batting average against Marquez here at Dodger Stadium. He's actually had success here in this ballpark. I think this is a little bit of a dangerous spot after the Dodgers had it so easy last night against the Rockies that Colorado could sneak up here and win this one. So this is going to be my NL version of Detroit, I guess, the NL version of the big dog special. I'm going with Detroit a little bit as a flyer, as a big dog against Houston. Same thing here. Colorado first 5 full game split.
Beautiful. There we go. A little dissension. Andrew G says, crack a Coors, plug your nose, and take the Rockies money line. And Man Bear Pig on you as well. Thinks Rockies win. Hey, I hope it cashes for all of you. I'm not on it. I think Julio Urias has been struggling since the World Baseball Classic. His last start, was pretty good. I forget who it was, against the Diamondbacks, I believe, now that I think about it. 6 innings.
We've seen a distinct performance pattern from the Dodgers so far. They smack the opposing pitcher and then they get shut down. They crush the opposing pitcher, Bumgarner, and then they get shut down by Davies, of all people. In the finale against Arizona, they crushed Feltner, and if you buy into the pattern, they're going to score 1 run tonight. After a big offensive onslaught so far early in the season, the Dodgers have done absolutely zip offensively in the very next game, and they're facing a guy that's had success against them in this ballpark.
Okay, beautiful. Bobana, what a lovely card that we just broke down here right at the hour mark as well. So look at us. Look at us being professional as always. Bobano, let's review our action here because we've got an interesting card to say the least. Usually I'm a man of high volume right there with you, but today it's kind of a lower volume day for me. It's pretty shocking to see. So as I grab my notes in my notebook, I have all my plays written down here. So I'll start off with it, Bobano. I am going to add one play here, and I'm going to add the Minnesota Twins money line. I like my Twins this year. I think they're going to be a good squad. Like I've said, I think Sandy's vulnerable. Hope Kenta Maeda can do something for me. And we're going to take full game just in case. If Sandy does pitch well, maybe we get a little implosion from the Marlins bullpen. So I'm on Minnesota money line. I'm going to go shop for that right now. It'll be around plus 140, but you guys get the picture on that. Pirates team total over 4 plus 105. Toronto Blue Jays first 5 minus a half minus 125. Cleveland first 5 minus a half minus 130. Baltimore team total over 4 at even money. And I'm not going to move on Atlanta and St. Louis. Like I said, I was going to move on them last night. I didn't. And that moved from over 9 to over 10 and over 4, from an over 4 to an over 5 on the team total for St. Louis too. So I guess I'll have to wait until the next time they're facing a lefty to jump on that bandwagon. But those are all my plays there. Pirates, Blue Jays, Cleveland, Baltimore, and Minnesota there. Bano, I know you're a man of high volume. I'll sit back and listen. What do you want?
All right, let's do the player props first.
Oh, boy.
I know we'll do those. We'll separate them into categories here. I forgot to mention the strikeout props that I like, too. I had a few that I liked, and I didn't mention them when we went around. But as far as the player props, we've got, like I say, J.P. Crawford, Seattle over 1.5 total bases, Paul Goldschmidt over 1.5 total bases, Rafael Devers over 1.5 total. I forgot Aaron Judge over 1.5 total bases, and to hit a home run tonight, too, against Strom and the Phillies. I think it's definitely got a good chance there in that one. Those are the main over total bases that I like in the card tonight. And then strikeout props, there's a couple that I do like that I did not mention earlier in the show. But I think if you look at it here tonight, there's a couple that are worth mentioning. Let me just see. Wisniewski for the Cubs. I mentioned liking the Cubs first 5 full game split. I forgot Wisniewski over strikeouts. Now, again, this game might be interrupted by rain, so this could be a moot point. But I like his strikeout prop over. Chris Bubich and Yusei Kikuchi in the Toronto-Kansas City game, both of them to go over their strikeout props tonight. I think that those are 2 good looks. Okay, those are the props. As far as the sides and the totals, Chicago Cubs minus 120, first 5, split with Chicago Cubs minus 125, full game. Atlanta St. Louis over 9.5, minus 120. Colorado plus 200, first 5 innings, split with plus 235, full game. Toronto, Kansas City over 9.5, minus 125. Again, some of these I bet early. Check to see that the numbers are still there. Baltimore plus 125. Baltimore, Texas over 8.5, minus 120. Detroit plus 240, first 5, split with Detroit plus 245, full game. Seattle minus 1, minus 112, full game, and Seattle minus a half, minus 110, first 5 innings, split. Minnesota plus 128. Minnesota, Miami over 7, minus 115. Tampa Bay Rays minus 1, run line, full game, minus 138. Tampa Bay, Washington over 8.5, minus 130. Pittsburgh Pirates plus 132, money line, full game. And Pittsburgh, Boston over 8.5, minus 120. There you go.
Beautiful, nice girthy card for you, Bobano. I have a feeling we're not going to be seeing many 7.5 totals in the future, especially if the balls are indeed juiced.
I'm going to try to bite the hand that fed me in betting against Sandy, tonight. And it hurts to do it, but it's got to be done.
Hey, I'm right there with you. We have to do it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be one of those grit your teeth kind of games. Let's hope we can get through it. Let's go, Joey Gallo. Have a night, Joey Gallo. It's been hot. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, Gallo over bases. Shit. There's the one. I knew I forgot one. Over total bases, Joey Gallo. He's been dominant this year so far, and he's got incredible numbers against Sandy.
Beautiful. Bobana, where can the people find you right now? I know now There's no NCAA, so now you're just lounging back, relaxing,
Well,
right?
this is a much needed, take a little break at least from doing shows every single day and 3 shows every single day, which is pretty much the way it is for me in football and basketball season and college basketball season. But now we've got NBA Pub Up still 3 days a week. Probably we'll do 4 or 5 days a week if we get into the weekend shows come playoff time. But we've still got that. We've still got Jimmy the Bag on Fridays, betting with the bag every single Friday. NBA Pub Up a few days a week. I'm on with you every Tuesday, of course, here on this show, Say Hey Plays. So, oh yeah, we've still got lots going on. But you're right. It's that time of year where Ian takes a little breath, and finally, takes a little break and doesn't do quite as many shows and as much content as I do from September to April. So much needed, believe me. So I like taking the lighter workload this time of year.
Hey, you deserve it, Bobana. We appreciate all your work and efforts throughout the season. Excited to have you on every Tuesday. It's nice. I'm just like, I don't have to sweat about Tuesdays. I'm like, yes, Bobana is going to be there. He'll be prepared, ready to go. So it's always nice to have that peace of mind. Appreciate everyone for watching. As always, we'll be back here again tomorrow. Our Wednesday guest, you guys know who that is. It's obviously Dabby Cab here for Wednesdays. It'll be a whole lot of fun to talk to him about baseball and all that good stuff. And of course, I'll give you guys a little spoiler alert now. 420 falls on a Thursday, and we'll be doing a playback live stream on that Thursday. And you can only guess what the theme of our 420 playback is going to be. But we appreciate all you guys for watching. Rick J, Tay Butta, Daniel Son, the Big Ragu. Appreciate you, my man. Ish your boy 23. Shout out to you. New name. I appreciate you for watching and commenting along. Tay Butta, Professor Chris, Nasty Nate. They are my twins today, Nasty Nate. They're my twins today. I need them. Nutflush Allen, appreciate you for watching, my man. Your wisdoms are always appreciated as well. Rick J369, Roger that. Thank you for watching. Jake Burns, Phil 56, and big shout out to Justin McElvey and specifically Justin McElvey's wife for watching. We appreciate you two for watching. Couples that cap together stay together. I can't relate to that, unfortunately, but they stay together. So shout out to you guys, and we'll see you guys next time for another edition of Say Hey Plays.